Welcome to the Hardcore Closer Podcast. I'm Ryan Stewman, founder of HardcoreCloser.com, and this podcast is all about helping you, the salesperson, close more sales. And look, whether you're selling cars, homes, financial services, consulting, whatever it is that you sell, this podcast is dedicated to help you generate higher quality leads, increase your closing ratios, and show you how to charge premium fees for the items you sell so you can get paid what you're worth. Welcome to episode 58 of the Hardcore Closer Podcast, and I'm really glad that you're here. I truly mean that. If you're a first-timer, be sure to check out all the previous episodes. There's at least 57 of them floating around somewhere. You might even be in the midst of all of that. And really, here's what I need. If you've been here before, if you've listened to more than one episode, I need you to engage. There's like 50,000 people that listen to this stuff every month, and we've got like 600 reviews on iTunes. Now, look, I know that it's a pain in the ass to go over to iTunes and leave a review on a podcast. I get it. It's also a pain in the ass to every Tuesday schedule time to shoot a webinar or shoot a podcast, come up with information, write the scripts to do this, have the knowledge, put the expertise to work and upload it and syndicate it and all that other stuff too. I'm just asking that you leave me a damn review, right? And here's the thing. It's not about reviews for my ego or to be the number one show on iTunes or anything like that. I have this goal and if it's your first time here, you've never heard this before. If you've listened to any other episode, I say this every episode, but I want to reach 300 million salespeople and change their lives. And one of the mediums that we're doing that on is iTunes and the podcast. So I need you to go over there and give me reviews, and so that more people see it in the iTunes news feed, so that more salespeople can listen to our show and they can realize that our show's way better than all the other sales shows. And then we can save them and give them eternal salvation instead of eternal damnation here at the Church of the Hardcore Closer, ladies and gentlemen. So what I'm basically saying is don't be stingy with your time. Take 30 seconds, grab your phone, head over to iTunes, and leave me a review on the podcast like my man Patrick Kreider in Tennessee. Now, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is Patrick. He must be listening to the episodes. This is a new review, too, so he's been paying attention. But he says that he's in insurance and socks, right? So I was like, if you're going to leave a review on here and we're going to read it on the air, you might as well tell us what you do. So Patrick Kreider in Tennessee, he's insurance and socks, it looks like. It might be stocks, but it looks like maybe he makes badass socks. So Patrick Kreider, anyway, he says there might be some truth bombs dropped and you might not like it, but I just started listening last week and I binged like watching HBO, accidentally dropped off the whole season of Game of Thrones. Great stuff, Ryan. You gave me 5 stars there. So I appreciate that. If you're looking for insurance and possibly socks, then hit Patrick Kreider up over there. I appreciate you leaving me the review. That's the other thing is like I'll reward you for leaving me reviews. Like we read a review every single week on the show. It could be yours. And then if you position your review like Patrick just did here, then we'll even advertise your business on here for free. That's some enticement. You know what I'm saying? Now get your ass after the episode's over. Get your ass over to iTunes and leave me. If it's your first time, you get a pass. But if you listen to another episode, I'm going to ask you again. All right. So let's jump into the episode. Let's talk about 5 tips for building a powerhouse team. And I'm not just talking sales teams here. From 2013, I started this like lone wolf business. And, I was making $30,000, maybe $50,000 on a good month. And that may sound like a lot of money to some of you, but I assure you that when you're growing a business, if you're making $50,000, you don't get to keep all of it. That's just not how it works. And especially if you're in growth mode, and like me, I had nothing to lose, so I just kept doubling down and investing my money. So it may sound like a lot of money, but really the buying media and all the things that I've had to do, that stuff doesn't come cheap. But in I guess it was late 2014, if I remember correctly. It was about August, and I decided that I'd had enough. I got a new CPA, and I had to start learning how to scale things. So in 2015, I started building a team, like a serious team too, not just people from sales, but I probably hired and fired 100 people over the course of between 2015 when I decided to get serious about that and now. And in 2015, by the time November rolled around, we had our first $100,000 month. And all this time, I had been struggling for 2 years, basically, to try and reach that $100,000 mark a month mark. I mean, that was like a serious focus for me. And I just couldn't ever do it alone. So I started building a team, and I made a lot of mistakes in building a team because honestly, at this point in my career, well, at that point in my career, back in 2014 and 15, I considered myself a salesperson, nothing more, nothing less. I was a salesperson, and that's how I viewed myself. Any corporate job that I'd ever had, I've been a salesperson, and now I was selling my digital products. Not only was I creating them, but I was selling them. And I had this neighbor, and this neighbor, his name's Gene Stoner. He's a CPA stoner, Albright in Dallas, Texas, and he was my neighbor. We shared the same floor, like half of it was mine and half of it was his. We shared the same elevator in the penthouses that we lived in. And Gene, he started encouraging me to start thinking like a CEO and it's someone that might want to sell this business in the future. And I really don't have much of an interest in selling the business, but I really at the time had no interest whatsoever in acting like a CEO. And I'm like, oh man, I'll just hire a CEO. I'm a salesperson. He's like, but you can't do that forever. Like you can't be the talent and everything else. And you're not building a sustainable business because if you die tomorrow or if something happens and you run into some sort of life altering, accident or whatever the case where you can't walk anymore, God forbid, whatever it is, what are you going to do? You're the talent, the sales staff. He's like, you've got to start scaling this thing. And so I'd always had Lindsay. She'd been around since I think 2012, actually. But, she just did admin task or whatever for me. And at the time, I really didn't use her that much. And I shared her with a couple other guys that are in my tribe program. And I decided, okay, so I'm going to start leveraging her more and get her away from the other people and like take her on full time with me where I didn't have to share her anymore. And then I brought on a salesperson. And the salesperson made a few sales for me, which freed up some of my time. And then Lindsay started doing the operation stuff on the back end, which freed up more of my time to where I could start really paying attention to the company. And shortly, I would hire 2 or 3 more salespeople. And then I brought Pat in and taught Pat how to, create funnels and do all the stuff that he does these days. And all of a sudden, I had this little team. And they say they started in July that we had a team of 5 or 6 people. And by the time that November rolled around, like I said, we had done $115,000 and we haven't done less than $100,000 in a month since. And it's been exciting because I've done it with teams and I've had to hire and fire a lot of people. Last year and I might have my years off. This may have been in 2014 that I started making $100,000 in 2015. No, it was definitely 2015 that November 2015, we made our first 100,000. Okay. I'm trying to check my timeline here to make sure that I'm correct. So, but during that time in 2016, man, I hired and fired a lot of people. And really, you got to go through a lot of people. And I don't mean be short. I've made a lot of mistakes. I don't mean be short-tempered with people and get rid of them and kick them out and all that stuff. But and do some of the dumb shit that I've done because I get frustrated with people. We'll talk about that later on in the episode. But what I am talking about is, you have to recognize if somebody's a fit fast. And I'm in the music business, and I was in Nashville a couple of days ago with my business partner, Dustin Black, and we're sitting over at the top music and entertainment management company in the world. We're talking to a couple of their executives about some deals that we're doing with them. And one of the things that they said was, it's not always about how good the person's voice is. It's about how hard they're willing to work. And can we keep them off drugs? And will they be willing to put in? And will they stay talented and fresh? Or will they get caught up in the life? There's a lot of moving factors. So it's not that the best person sings. It's can they sing? Do they look good? Will they stay off of drugs? Will they not have 50 babies and get the label in a bunch of trouble? There's like a lot of things that they look for. And they look for that almost instantly so that they can cut things. They look for those signs. And I'm the same way with the sales team. It's like when I bring in talent, I want to make sure that like, hey, yeah, you know what? They're good on the phone, but will they make phone calls? Hey, yeah, they're really good at talking to leads, but will they call them back? Can they manage their time? And so, now I've gone through, I want to say 50 people that I've hired and fired. And to some of you, that may not be very many, but I've got some that have been around for a long time. And I've really had to sift through the chaff. And, we made the shift back in our tribe program not too long ago to being how to teach somebody to be an entrepreneur like a lone wolf to now how to scale the team. Because as I learn this, I want to teach it. And as I experience this, I want to share my experiences. And that's what we're going to do on the show for you. I'm going to talk about 5 tips for building a powerhouse team straight from experience. And the first team that I ever built was in the mortgage business. I built a team that consisted of a 63-year-old man who would play like Lindsay's role in modern day, right? His name was Bob, old ass Bob. That was Bob's last choice, but I trained him, and he ended up being he's still the assistant to the president of the company that I work for now. So like after I left, the president adopted him basically. And maybe Bob's retired right now, but anyway, if he retired, that's where he retired from the position. And I started building a team, and when I built that team, it was me, Bob, and then another guy, Jason Sammons. We started slinging in mortgages, and it allowed me to rise to the top of the company because they picked up a lot of the slack behind me as I churned and burned and did the work calling the leads. As I built this team that I have now, which is 3 salespeople, 4 people in the operations side, which we call the success team. And then I've got a few contract people that I use as well. So it's not like I have a lot of people that directly work for me. I actually sub a lot of it out. However, I've been able to assemble a pretty badass team, and I'll tell you how I did it. Number one is you've got to have automation. Okay, like let's just talk about sales team for this first off. Salespeople, the biggest struggle that companies have with salespeople and that business owners have with salespeople is getting them to actually do the work. Now, here's the problem with that, and I'm not knocking salespeople here. I mean, shit, this is my brotherhood, right? But what I do know is that we salespeople get paid to sell stuff, but then we end up doing the fucking work and jobs and shit that aren't selling and aren't closing, but we got the job so that we could sell and close. And that's why so many people quit their jobs. So like so many salespeople, they leave is because they took a job because they want to sell somebody and they want to close somebody, but instead they've got them making cold calls and leaving voicemails, which is not selling and not closing. So what I've done in my business is I've created the ultimate sales atmosphere. I've got automation that does all the follow-up. One of the hardest things to do is get a salesperson to follow up because it's not selling and closing. But follow-up is where the money's at. So I put automation in place, slide dials, automatic text messages and emails that look like they're personally written. They look legit. They're not just some autoresponder mainstream bullshit. And what happens is we keep serving those up to the leads that come in our system until the person sticks their hand up and is ready to talk. And that's called automation. That's automated follow-up. I basically got technology and robots doing the dialing and smiling for me so that when a human needs to get involved, all they got to do is what they're best at, sell and close. Think about that in your job. If that's not the situation that you're in, think about how badass that would be. All you got to do is pick up the phone, sell and close. Imagine if you had a 14-hour work day like you may now, but all you did all day was selling and closing. Not prospecting, not marketing, not networking, not shaking hands, not chasing referral partners, not doing anything, selling and closing. Imagine how much your income would increase. Imagine how much your production would increase. Imagine how much respect you would have from the local business owners or from the salespeople that work for you or from your sales manager, whatever position that you're in. But here's the thing, you've got to be able to leverage this stuff, right? When we have our sales sequence, we know that it takes 8 to 12 times for someone to see you, understand your name, get information from you to become familiar. By familiar, I mean they know your brand, they know your name. It's like, oh yeah, that's what's his name. And so we know if we have to get in front of somebody 8 to 12 times, then we're going to have to send them 2 or 3 emails, a couple of text messages, and leave them a few voicemails. But that's menial, that like very tedious task on the salesperson. And so they get burned out on it quick. You ever seen the meme where it's like the old dude? He's like, who says sales is bad for you? I've been in sales for 5 years and I'm only 21 or some shit. And it's like an old dude. I just totally butchered it, but you get what I'm talking about if you've seen it. But the thing is, we make the salesperson do all these just low tasks when we can have automation in place. And guess what? Business owners, pay close fucking attention here. If you're not putting automation in place and follow up for your sales team, it's cheaper than hiring someone to do it. The technology is shit's a few $100 a month at most. So it's cheaper than hiring someone to do it. And better yet, it's always there. If a lead comes in at midnight, it's right there where your salesperson isn't. And then it will increase the productivity of your salespeople because their time is spent selling and closing, which keeps them happy, which also drives more revenue. Automation is the key to building a team. You see, when someone steps into my wheelhouse, The sales team gets handed leads, and these leads have a fire rating system. If someone is a 5 fires, they've got 5 little flames next to them, that means they're on fucking fire, and we reach out to them. If they don't have 5 flames, we don't fuck with them, and we've got automation in place that basically cajoles these relationships until we get those 5 flames, and that's when our salesperson talks to them. Think of how badass that would be for your business. I built a fucking dream come true for salespeople. But you got to have automation. Small business owners, for a few $100 in a few hours of your time, you can have a happier sales force. Now, here's the other thing about automation. This goes for your success team or your support team or tech team, whatever you want to call them. They've got to have automation too. You know, if Lindsay had to give every single person that signed up for Break Free Academy Entourage a password, she'd be beat to death. She wouldn't have it. Like we had hundreds of people a month to that program. There's no way she could keep up with it. And by the way, if you're interested in joining our mastermind, go over to breakfreeacademy.com/entourage, and you can join us. And you can see that Lindsay will not send you an email. You'll get it on autopilot. But that frees up her time to where she can do the things that make her happy too, which is pester me and all the crazy shit that she does, drive the sales team nuts, you know, the things that operation people love doing. But it frees her up to do it best because she gets results. But we have automation in place that allows her to do her job better and to perform at a higher place. And she knows, hey, if she can find a way to buy some software that does something for her, then it frees her up to do stuff that's more important. Then by all means, we invest in it. Same thing with Pat. You know, anytime Patrick grabs, anytime he comes across some new technology that we need, he's got free reign to use the card and get it set up. If you don't use it, cancel the shit. That's the only rule. If you don't use it, just cancel the shit. But they have the ability to set these automated sequences up to make their jobs easier so that they can be more productive. And that's my operations side. That's not even my money team. So I want you to think about that. Number 2 is you got to have lead gen. This ties into your automation, but really your automation is the follow-up behind the lead gen. But you got to have some kind of lead gen in place. First of all, lead gen doesn't pay the bills, but it damn sure, like the people that get in the top of funnel are damn sure important. You know what I'm saying? Lead gen might be your sales funnel. It might be your direct marketing piece. It might be SEO to your website. It might be Facebook ads. It might be Google Display Network. You might run ads on Twitter. You might do TV and radio ads. I know that I'm running a pretty strong campaign on Pandora right now for my book giveaway. So lead gen can consist of anything that's going to drive names, email addresses, phone numbers, maybe even phone calls to the top of the funnel. Okay, the top of the funnel would be the offer, right? It's what drives people in. Some people see the offer, they decide they want to know what it takes to take you up on the offer, and that's where the sales conversation comes into place. But if you don't have leads coming in, I mean, it's 2017. I see people all the time. Y'all could get mad at me for this, but I'm going to say it any damn way. But it's 2017, and I see people all the time talking about cold calling and knocking doors and shit like that. And it's absolute bonkers. In the time that your sales team knocks on doors to generate leads, you could have robots and automation generating a shit ton of leads and following up for you. I got an alarm business. You can see what we're up to at yourfreealarm.com. If you're a loan officer or a real estate agent, every person that you close their home, I'll give them a free alarm. You just go to yourfreealarm.com and sign them up. But I own an alarm business, and the certified professionals that work with me, they knock doors prior to coming and working for me. And they never even thought to do this stuff, but it blows their minds. They might sell 10 alarms in a month knocking doors. We're going to sell 50 our first month out of the gate, generating leads online. Okay. And the difference is that we have the lead gen in place and the automation following up to where when people close on their house, the loan officer, the real estate agent goes over, sends us the referral. My guys pick up the phone, talk to them about what cameras and everything else that they want to add to their home, because that's what people want these days. I think home automation's badass. You get an app on your phone, and the doorbell rings, and you can talk to the UPS guy and be like, "Hey, Vern, leave it on the porch. It's cool. All right, dog." My UPS guy knows me for first name basis because he comes by here every day, first of all. But I gave him one of my books, and he's like, "Man, you really are hardcore." So just trying to keep a low profile in the neighborhood here, folks. But lead gen it's crucial to having a team, because lead gen is going to fuel your sales team. Your sales team is going to make the money, which fuels your operations team to expand and build more automation. Think of how all that pairs together. But here's a big thing that most people, I see it every day, and This is number 3 here I'm about to get into, and I see this every day, and it's such a struggle. But number 3 is you need enough tasks to keep them busy, right? A lot of people will hire somebody, and then they'll just be bored. I remember when I was like 19, 20 years old, fresh out of prison, and like the bad prison too, not like, you know, the second time around it wasn't so bad. The first time I was like, man, I was a scarred young man for life, right? And so I worked at the car wash, and I had these friends that worked for like Alcatel, which is now Lucian, and I made like, you know, $8 an hour plus commission, which equaled about $12 or $13 an hour if you sliced it down. And I was lucky enough to work, you know, 90 hours a week, so I could make $1,000 a week. But geez, it was a racket for sure. And my friends, they were making like $25 or $30 an hour working at Lucian. And I would be like, man, what do you do over there? Like, how did you get that job? What do you do for them? They didn't even know what the hell they did. They just sat around bored all day. If Facebook would have existed back then, that's all they would have done is just basically sit there at their desk. Now, the problem is it's a big company and they didn't scale it. Obviously, it got bought up by Lucian, and because Alcatel went out of business, basically. But the thing was, they built this large team, and then there wasn't enough tasks to keep them busy. I see like car dealerships I go to, and they've got 10 salesperson sitting at the desk doing nothing. They don't have enough people coming in, enough tasks, enough leads, enough ups to keep everybody busy. Mortgage companies, the same thing. I see guys in the mortgage companies all the time sitting around. They don't got enough stuff to keep them busy. I see real estate agents that hire buyers agents to go do the buyer side of things so that they can focus on listings, and then they don't have enough buyers to keep them busy, and then they wonder why they quit or become their competition. If you're going to build a team, even if you don't have enough tasks for them to do, it's better to even create shit for them to do. Don't let them go idle, because they will start to get bored and resent you, because the idle mind is the devil's playground. If you give them time to think about shit, they will think their way out of your plan and into theirs. Which brings us to number 4, set goals for your team. Goals are important. Like our goal at Hardcore Closer is 3 sales a day per salesperson. I don't care what those 3 sales are, but you got to give me 3 sales a day per salesperson. You get asked you, and the next day you cover my fucking nut, or we got problems. That's how we operate over there. I have created the most immense, awesome opportunity. I don't hassle people. I don't fuck with people. I don't micromanage motherfuckers, and you get leads with flames sent right to your fucking inbox like a champ. So don't fuck with my money. You know what I mean? Like that's our thing. So the goal is 3 sales a day for each salesperson. So it's roughly 9 sales a day that we're supposed to bring in. And plus we have robots that do stuff on the back end for us. And my success team has goals for that as well, which I believe is 7 per day that we're at right now. So we're focused on very specific goals from the operations side, tweaking things and making it better, for my Facebook advertisements and Google people that are tweaking and making those better so that they convert higher. I was with my buddy Michael Reese yesterday. Damn, I dropped a lot of fucking names in this podcast so far. It's like I'm Tony Robbins over here or something, dropping all these names. So I was with my buddy Michael Reese yesterday. We had lunch, went to Internet Cafe, then ultimately back to his house. Sounds like a really romantic date, but really what we were doing was staring at computers and talking business the entire time. And it did sound funny that we're like, hey, we had a lunch and then stopped at an Internet Cafe and then went back to his house. It was very romantic. Mike's going to fucking kill me. Anyway, so we had a good time and went over some things in the business. And one of the things that I noticed about Mike is he said every Wednesday at 8:08, they get together and they have a goals meeting, and he showed me the spreadsheet. They projected up and Mike's got a big ass team. They project it up on the TV monitors and go over every part. And they actually have the people that are the heads of the department go over their part. And it's like this whole thing. And he had like goals set for every single deal, like things I wouldn't even see. He had goals on goals on goals on goals on goals. True shit. So goals are super important, because if you don't give something to swing at, then they'll never take a swing, right? Right. If you don't give them something to swing at, they won't do it. Number 5 is you got to entice them to win. I offer a lot of bonuses for the sales team, a lot of bonuses for the success team. I just give random $1,000 I'll zip somebody on PayPal $1,000 at random on my team for doing a good job. I've sent it to Jose, Pat several times. Pat's always getting extra money, and Lindsay. I've enticed Lindsay with a nice vehicle. This is her second brand new vehicle that she's had, courtesy of the company. And that's an enticement for her to do good, right? Because if she don't, then I'll fire her and she can't drive anywhere, right? That's how it works, right? That's how it really I'm just kidding. Now Michael Reese is going to kill me, and Lindsay's going to be pissed at me. This is going to go down as an epic fucking podcast, guys. So, but you got to entice them to win. Like sometimes I'll say, if you sell a certain amount, we'll give you XYZ dollars. If you sell this, we'll pay you extra this month. When we're making a push for one way or the other, I set the goal and then I give them an enticement to win. It's like, hey, if you'll reach this goal, I'll pay you above and beyond what I normally pay you. Or like I give away a lot of prizes. We give away a lot of productivity shit. We've given away iPads, computers. I've given away a Tag Heuer watch one time. Roxanne won it. I've given away a lot of stuff to entice our people to win. We gave away an Alexa to the sales team last month. I think that's what it's called, like this little dot thing. It was really cool. Like I'm always giving them some incentive to make them like feel good. Like, Stewman takes care of us when we do good for them. And then I'm also giving them an incentive to be like, not only do I get my money, I get more money and then a prize too. Fucking, I'm on a grind here. And so I've used these 5 things as a way to build not just an amazing sales team, but I've used these 5 ways to build an amazing support team as well. And we call it our growth team. We got this from Ryan Dice, and we have the money team, which is sales and operation. We have acquisition team, which is like me and Pat and Jose and Alex. We do the lead gen, the funnels, the creative work, the content. And then we have a support team, which supports our clients. They help out on the back end. They make sure that everything's taken care of. They do payroll, operations, all that stuff. So we've broken it down into 3 very specific departments, and everybody is super focused on what it is that they're supposed to do, which allows us to be able to focus on these 5 things right here: automation, lead gen, enough shit to keep them busy, making sure they have goals, and giving them an incentive to win. So here's the thing. Be sure to go over to elevatortothetop.com and grab a free copy of my best-selling book, paperback. That thing's almost sold out. Like, we've just got a few copies left. Get your ass over there and get your free copy before I start charging your ass to go to Amazon, right? You snooze, you lose, damn it. The other thing is, we got some cool stuff coming up. Break Free Academy Live, and in June, I think it's 22nd, 23rd. So you go to breakfreeacademy.com, sign up for that. If you want to join our mastermind, it's breakfreeacademy.com/entourage. And last but not least, have a great week and go close some sales.